My name is Amelie Ewert, and I will talk about light electric vehicles, which is in the scope of the project proEME. And I will talk about light electric vehicles within urban Europe. I will give a short overview of opportunities and challenges that raise for these kind of vehicles. So these vehicles emerged during the last years, and there are a lot of opportunities that can be seen in the urban context. So because these vehicles are very small and they are very lightweight, they have less energy consumption for one, and also the battery size can be reduced down, so we have less critical raw materials and also less greenhouse gases. Of course, one of the most important challenges for urban or from municipalities at the moment is air pollution that could be tackled with deploying these kind of vehicles in the urban center. Then, of course, because these vehicles are smaller, they need less land use, and we can have more attractive city centers in the end. So these kind of vehicles have a lot of opportunities to be deployed in new vehicle concepts, but there are also a lot of challenges that also arise with these vehicles. So when we look at the different types of vehicles that are under the scope of light electric vehicles, there is a wide array of different types. So we have the micro vehicles that at the moment is a very emerging topic, where we have the e-scooters, mono wheels, hoverboards, and they are very good for the last mile concept because they have a small radius. Then there are also two-wheeled vehicles and especially cargo bikes, which of course can also be three or four-wheeled. They have a lot of possibilities to be implemented in especially the commercial sector, and in particular in the cab segment. We can see a lot of concepts, vehicle concepts emerging there. And in the end, we have three and four-wheeled vehicles that are categorized within the L category under EU regulation. So this is a specific type of vehicles where we can have passenger cars as well as commercial vehicles. And they have a lot of different segments where they can be applicated in. And because these vehicles have a larger range, they can be better substituted with cars. But of course, there are a lot of obstacles for these vehicles when they are implemented in municipalities, for example, because there is at the moment not many numbers or not many vehicles in the statistics. So for Europe, there are at the moment about 30,000 vehicles. So that is a very small share of the overall vehicle statistics. And the reason because there are so little vehicles at the moment can be seen in this graph. At the DLR, we have been conducting interviews with experts from the field of light electric vehicles, where we ask for obstacles and what challenges as well as prospects for these vehicles. And what came out of the survey is that especially the transport infrastructure is at the moment not adapted to light electric vehicles. So driving with these vehicles in the streets in municipalities, there's simply no advantage in driving on the streets. They're stuck in traffic with the rest of the cars. And then the other important thing, which we can see, is that there is a lack of knowledge about these vehicles. So not only in the urban population, because there are no vehicles on the street, so there's no visibility. Municipalities also don't know about these vehicles, and if they don't know about them, they can't really implement any measures concerning these vehicles. And of course, the safety is another big issue, because in the L category, there are no crash tests required. So these vehicles are seen as less safe, or maybe are less safe than cars. But on the other hand, if the crash test would be required, then small manufacturers, which at the moment takes up the largest share of the manufacturers for these vehicles, they might not be able to afford to sell these vehicles. So then there are other obstacles, such as the image. These vehicles are seen as vehicles for the elderly images, for the elderly, for example, or still there are a lot of concepts on the market, concept studies made by OEMs, but on the other hand, we have a really small variety of models that is actually sold. And then, of course, a few others. But what we can what we can take from these vehicles is that they have a good opportunity to replace some of the cars that are deployed in the municipalities in order to have more attractive city centers. So overall, light electric vehicles have a lot of potentials in the urban areas. But in order to see an uptake with these vehicles, municipalities have to know about these vehicles and their advantage in order to implement measures or incentives for these vehicles. Thank you very much for your attention.